Hello, I'm Taylor O'Connor, PhD candidate of the Department of French and Francophone Studies. In my ongoing dissertation research, Tous, tigres, sans pitié, Vegetarianism, Natural Law, and Civic Responsibility in the Première République marks the first chapter in a larger project dedicated to a seemingly inconsequential detail of the French Revolution, but one that proves to have an enormous impact on the political, social, and cultural identity of the First Republic. That is, what or whom should the French citizen eat? This overarching body of work, entitled Six Savage Citizen Toxic Vegetarianisms in the 18th Century French Imaginary, identifies the permeating presence of what I call toxic vegetarianism throughout Enlightenment and revolutionary France. In my first chapter, I examine exclusively the socio-political consequence of a vegetarian diet and the rejection of meat consumption by many revolutionaries and newly minted Republican citizens. It asks the questions, why was a vegetarian diet attractive to the French peasantry? And what did this choice of regime signal within the political and social climate of the late 1700s? Finally, how did French revolutionaries wield vegetarianism as a weapon of political propaganda? How could something so peaceful as sparing animals contribute to such a bloody moment in a people's history? Tracing the philosophical lineage of vegetarianism from the Middle Ages through the Enlightenment, up until its rebranding as radical propaganda, Tous, tigres discusses the banal yet primordial issue of diet within the context of one of France's most defining moments. It tells the story of a largely agrarian people that suffered greatly from the ever-growing disparity between social classes. Their hunger for a more equal society was brought about by a literal hunger due to ongoing famine, oppressive taxation, and the economic instability in France following the lavish and despotic choices of the monarchy. Within the collective imaginary of these people, the associations between predatory animals and a predatory ruling class, that is, one that directly benefited from the labor and pauperism of the masses, was clear and long-standing. Carnivorous animals like the lion were adopted by the monarchy to symbolize their prowess and their power, as demonstrated in the well-known fables of the Ancien Régime, or the Old Regime. But by the 18th century, this choice of emblem would sour for the nobility, as critiques of the ruling class were able to use the very same zoomorphisms. The king and his aristocracy were in fact lions, leopards, and even tigers. In fact, in the Marseillaise, which would become the sort of battle hymn of the revolutionary cause, and which is still the French national anthem today, there is the line, Tous ces tigres qui, sans pitié, déchirent le sein de leur mère, or all of these tigers who, without pity, tear their mother's breast to pieces. Translation is my own. On the other hand, the working classes would see themselves in the herbivorous, pastoral animals who worked and lived off of the land just as they did. The dichotomy of the ultra-wealthy ruling class, the tyrants of the story, and the impoverished peasantry, the citizens called to arms and to defend, took its cues from the natural world and was played out on a socio-political stage, leading to a reappropriation of the modest meat-free meals of the peasantry. No longer a symbol of their lack of means, their vegetarianism would become a hallmark of their moral hygiene, good citizenry, and their belief in Republican values. Of course, the history of vegetarianism, its ties to radical political change and bloody revolution goes much deeper, much of which is discussed within my research. The vegetarianism of Enlightenment France was seen as desirable because it was both representative of and instrumental towards ending the tyranny of the monarchy. Predation, preying upon, attacking, and consuming others would no longer be tolerated, and instead, the human capacity for pity, empathy, sympathy would be exercised both in civil society and in metaphorical proxy. This project sits at the crux of several emergent fields, all of which come together to shed new light on a time of extreme social upheaval, terrifying bloodshed, and the resounding search for civility within a nation redefining itself in the name of equality. A telling and fascinating history, it's my hope that this research illustrates the value that studying diet can have on a philosophical level. Better understanding the social value implicit in such decisions as what or whom to eat holds important lessons about Western notions of self, community, morality, care, and much more. Thank you.